Hey, what's up, guys? I've been a gamer for as far back as I can remember. I play a lot of the new stuff, but I also play some of the old stuff. And I play. One of my favorite system of all time was Super Nintendo. And while I play a lot of the newer systems, I'm also starting to build a retro game collection. I kind of jump around with systems, so I thought this would be a good time to do a recent game pickups video. Most of these retro games I got from a flea market and a retro game store that my brother and I go to. The newer games I got from like Target and Walmart. Let's start with NES. There's one of the original NES launch titles, Excitebike. That's a fun game. It's a classic. Then we have Dash Galaxy and the Alien Asylum. I played this. It's pretty good. It's kind of like a cross between an adventure and a puzzle game or something. It's pretty cool. Oh god. The Simpsons, Bart versus the Space Mutants. This was one of those games that I've seen people play it, and it's like, maybe I'll, even though it sounds awful and everyone kind of gives it crap, I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. But yeah, they're right. It's really not that good. I mean, it's some like it, some don't, I'm sure, but I don't know, Of course, it's made by Acclaim, who, I mentioned that in my Konami versus Acclaim video, that Acclaim was a company that just didn't care. They're like, yeah, we make a game based off Simpsons, it'll sell, even though, like... This is another one of those that people played that I was like, I'll give it a shot. I was like, it looks kind of cool. Deadly Towers. So-so, I guess. Now, here's a good game. Batman, based off the original, the 1989 Batman movie by Tim Burton. It's made by Sunsoft, which is why it has good music. It's a good game. It's just a little it's a little difficult, but yeah. Commando. This one's cool. It's just a classic top view shooter game. And no, this isn't the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie Commando, if that's what you're thinking. It's just an army game, I guess you could say. Narc, which is another good. This is a fun game, another good game, but even though it's kind of hard. My brother actually did a video of this on his YouTube channel. It's Aaron Strange. He does like kind of like web show type things, and he did an episode of this among others. It's hilarious, and I guess the previous owner wrote their name on this, David Spencer. So yeah, hey, if you're watching this, David, thanks. I like this game. Here's a NES had the NES Zapper for games like Duck Hunt and what's that game called? It's in, what do you call it? It's in Back to the Future 2. Wild Gunman. Well, here's one that's 4 games in one. It's Shooting Range. I guess it's a couple of different games on here. It looks like a cowboy, something with aliens, and can't really make out the other two, but what's funny is on here it shows the orange NES Zapper, the orange and gray NES Zapper, see? Which is, it's funny how they did that, because I guess they were afraid that people would use them to hold up a store or something. Like, really? Can you imagine someone holding up a store with this? I mean, does this really look like a real gun? I mean, for one thing, it has holes sticking out of it, for screws. The trigger is red, and it even has red writing on it. A gun is usually like one solid color, like black or gray or silver. This is like 2 shades of gray, and it even has red writing on it. Like, how are people? I don't know. But I'm not a game manufacturer, so what do I know? Now let's move on to SNES or Super Nintendo. Here's a classic, Pilot Wings, one of the original Super Nintendo launch titles. I remember my brother had this. Actually, he probably still has it. He's building a retro game collection as well. This is a fun game. It's challenging, that's for sure. And I just realized I left out an NES title. Another Sunsoft game, Gremlins 2, which is good, but it's hard, yeah. back to Super Nintendo. Another Sunsoft game, Aero the Acrobat. You know, get it? Acrobat, because he's a bat. Yeah. I never played this as a kid, but I remember hearing about it, and I always kind of wanted to play it, and I recently had found out that it was a Sunsoft game, and I was like, I was listening to the soundtrack, and I was like, yeah, I think I might have to look into this game. Here's a classic, Stunt Racer FX. This was a fun game. My brother used to rent it all the time. It was basically, it's pretty much like, it's a racing game, as you can tell from the title. The gameplay is a lot like F-Zero, and the graphics are kind of like Star Fox, and there's actually like pictures of Star Fox and Mario and Kirby in there on like the billboard things. And this was made by Nintendo too. You know, it wasn't made by a different company. For Super Nintendo, it was made by Nintendo, but I guess it didn't do as well as like Mario Kart and F-Zero, so that's probably why you never really see any more of these. Now we'll move on to N64. This is Knife Edge Nose Gunner. Some kind of cool looking helicopter on the cover. I actually haven't played this yet, but it looks cool. You know, I don't recognize the name of the company, but you know, how bad can it be? It was cheap. Rugrats in Paris, the movie. You know, Rugrats was one of my favorite movies. Was one of my favorite shows when I was a kid, and you know, the movie was good. You know, at this point, you know, once Rugrats kind of was on for so many years, and they kept adding more and more characters, that it wasn't really the same, but yeah, the movies were pretty good, and I remember renting this all the time, and it was actually a really fun game. So I remember there was like mini games you could do and stuff, and so I was like, yeah, I'll buy it. There's another N64 game, another game my brother used to rent all the time, Mace, which is pretty cool. It's a medieval fighting game, and it was made by Midway, so the same people who made Mortal Kombat and Rampage, Gauntlet. It's a shame that Midway had to go out of business because, you know, but fortunately, you know, they went out of business, but Ed Boon, who's part of another company now, he still owns the rights to Mortal Kombat. But still, it sucks that, and I'm kind of getting off topic here. So, next let's move on to Wii. Sonic Colors, which it's interesting. You know, it's pretty good. But what's nice is you can use the GameCube controller as well as the classic game controller, which is a Wii thing that it's pretty cool. I mean, it's like a theme park, and you can play as your Mii, which I haven't tried that out yet. But then we have Metroid: The Other End. This is a wicked good game. It's a lot like the original. It's a lot like Super Metroid for the SNES, which I think is one of my favorite Metroid games of all time. It's a lot like that. It's a lot like Super Metroid, but in a 3D perspective. You play as like Samus and her from her. It's like you learn about her past and everything. It's really cool. I'm actually gonna play that later, probably. Well, now we're gonna go from Nintendo to Microsoft. So for Xbox 360, we have Lego: The Lord of the Rings. I always loved these movies, the Lord of the Rings movies. I never really read the books, but I liked the movies. And it's funny, when this was first coming out, I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to buy that, but it was literally right before the Hobbit movie was coming out, so I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna wait, because I remember there was the Lego Indiana Jones game, and that it was the first 3 movies, and then about a year or 2 later was the or a few years later was the 4th Indiana Jones movie, the Crystal Skull, and then so they made a Lego Indiana Jones 2 game where it had all 4 of them. So I was like, you know, when this came out and then the Hobbit movie came out, I was like, you know, I think I'm gonna wait, because they'll probably make another Lord of the Rings game that has these 3 movies along with the Hobbit. But little did I know they were gonna make more than one Hobbit movie. So, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy it. And last but not least, Earth Defense Force 2025. Whoops. Now this is a good game. They're all good games, really. There was a bunch of them. They were originally in Japan. They only came out in Japan, and only 3 of them came out here. The first one that came out here was Earth. It was a similar style. It was called Earth Defense Force 2017. It was one of the original games for Xbox 360. And then there was. It was very simple gameplay. You know, basically, it's like a 50s sci-fi type of movie where you fight like giant insects and stuff, which you can actually see some of them on there. See, like the giant spider, and there's robots. There's all kinds of different creatures and stuff you fight in it. And it's the games, they always make newer enemies and stuff. Then there was There was Earth Defense Force Insect Armageddon, which is a little more it's a little more challenging. And then this one is more like the first one that came out here. This is a recent game. It's really good, as I had mentioned. My stepfather and I play this all the time. Literally, actually, all 3 of these games, from 2017 to Insect Armageddon to this one, for a number of years we've been playing these games for at least 4 days a week, or 4 nights a week, I should say. But yeah, I always loved this type of stuff. The sci-fi, and especially like old-fashioned sci-fi. It's funny, this is actually rated M, whereas the other ones were rated T. I'm pretty sure they were rated T. This one's rated M, probably because maybe there's a lot more blood in this one than the others or something, but yeah. Well, that's all the games I have, so maybe if I get some more games in the future, I'll make another one of these videos, so yeah.